The best analogy I could give for Gan Eden, for the Garden of Eden, is infancy. It's humanity when we're babies. So think about when you have a baby, right? When you have a child, I'm not even talking a toddler, although that's also a good analogy. But when you have a 6-month old, it's simple, it's beautiful. They really just have to do one thing, sleep and eat. And there's something gorgeous and special about that moment in time, and you don't want it to end, right? And ultimately, we as parents will be sad when that phase is over. There's something sweet and innocent about it that we'll always miss. But I don't think any of us as parents want our children to stay there forever. We don't want our children to suffer from arrested development. We want our children to actually flourish and grow up. And when they do grow up, they're going to make worse mistakes and they're going to make harder choices. But ultimately, what we want from them is to grow and mature as human beings. They'll never be our partners and friends. They'll always be our children, but they'll be the kind of people we can have a deeper relationship with. And God experiences that exact thing, kivyachol, or as it were, with human beings. God both mourns the fact that we can't stay infants forever, but ultimately God wants us to go out of the Garden of Eden. How do I know that? Because the Bible actually tells us two things about how human beings are sent away from the garden. At the very end of chapter 3, we're told, and God sent away human beings from the Garden of Eden to work the ground that they were taken from. And he sent away human beings and he put them to the east of the Garden of Eden. Why does it say he sent them away twice? The answer is, in Hebrew, the two words that are used for sent away are actually two different words. One word is shalach, which means to send, and one word is garash, which means to banish. In biblical Hebrew, garash is always a negative. It always means something bad. It, for example, means to banish a spouse from the home, right? Banishing is always bad, but sending is almost always good. When you send people away, you're sending them on a mission. Sometimes the mission can end poorly, like the scouts who are sent to scout out the land of Israel, and that ends in disaster. But it's always a positive mission, or it's almost always a positive mission. So when God sends human beings away from the garden, he's both punishing them because you've done something wrong and you've been banished, but he's also sending them. Because if you remember that first verse at the beginning of chapter 2, before the whole story with the serpent and Adam and Eve, God had always planned for humanity to go and work the ground. That was what the ground was waiting for. It was waiting for God to put rain on, but also for man to work the ground. God always knew we were going to leave. So what does that tell us about money? What does that tell us about the economy? Well, it tells us that fundamentally we are beings who are created in God's image. Our task is to create. Our task is to grow.